Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Monsters of the Mind. I am the Garrett of Dimension thing. I don't know. Point is, I am an astronaut. And another point is, I was picked to do this video. We're still having a bit of a multiversal issue, and everyone's kind of getting a bit irritable since now there's about 257 of us in this dimension. Ugh, this dimension sucks. I have some complaints about how the wildlife is treated in this dimension. Well, at the very least, it's nice to know that I am still the most powerful Garrett in this dimension. Anyway, I'm currently inside of Quantum G's quantum bubble to make sure there's no dimensional leakage where I am. Today, we're going to talk about another video game character besides Pokemon for once. We're still doing that, we're just taking a bit of a deviation from it. For now, at least, anyway. What am I saying anymore? I don't know, let's just get into it. Today, we're discussing the alien plant creatures introduced in the 2002 Nintendo game, which is also named after them, Pikmin. Pikmin is a family which consists of a bunch of plant-like animals native to the planet PNF 404, which is all but stated to be a post-apocalyptic Earth. So, do they count as aliens? I don't know. While Pikmin come in many varieties, some things that link all Pikmin together includes their life cycle. All Pikmin are created by these weird machine things called onions. You see, when the onion is brought nutrients, like food, they end up creating more Pikmin, depending on how nutritious the food is. But one limit they have is that it will refuse to let out more than 100 Pikmin at once, which is thought to be a survival technique to ensure the survival of the species. After Pikmin is born, its seed falls to the ground and sprouts, or you can then pluck it out. There are three stages to a Pikmin's life. When they're first born, they're leaf Pikmin. However, if you leave them in the ground long enough, their leaf becomes a bud. And eventually, or if you give them nectar, they become a flower Pikmin. With the bud basically determining their speed, how likely they are to trip, and how powerful they are in combat. The color of the flower depends on the game they were introduced. Pikmin 1 types have white flowers, Pikmin 2 types have pink, Pikmin 3 have purple, and Pikmin 4 has yellow flowers. In addition to onions, Pikmin are also created by flowers known as candy pop buds, which convert one Pikmin to whatever color the flower is. Pikmin are pretty low on the food chain, but one of their great advantages is that, like ants, one Pikmin is powerless, but if they're together, they can wipe out even the largest threats in just a few seconds. Primary form of attack is to smack their heads against things. If it works, it works. Pikmin are also pretty intelligent, as they've been shown having basic instruction skills and they're aware of what's food and what's not. Also, if Pikmin are exposed to the nectar of a red spiderwort plant, they become incredibly aggressive, leading to an increase in strength and speed. Now that we got the family out of the way, let's look at what different types Pikmin bring to the table. And as a bonus, these are one of the few fictional creatures I'm aware of that have actual scientific names, so that's fun. First Pikmin we're introduced to is Red Pikmin, Pikminidae rubrus. These Pikmin are best at fighting than most Pikmin types, and they're fireproof. They also have a nose. Next up we got Yellow Pikmin, Pikminidae arubus. These guys have large ears which allows them to jump higher than other Pikmin. Also in Pikmin 1 only, they were the only Pikmin who could handle bombs. No idea what that implies. Though, sadly, in the first game, they were kinda useless as their height only affected a few obstacles and their bomb handling skills are also pretty situational. Luckily, Pikmin 2 gave 'em a large boost by revealing they're immune to electricity. Not only are they not harmed by it, they can also conduct it with no side effects, allowing them to fill in the gaps of broken wires. In fact, getting exposed to electricity makes them bloom. So yeah, from useless to useful, especially with how dangerous electricity is compared to other elements. The final Pikmin 1 guy is Blue Pikmin, Pikminidae cerula. Unlike other Pikmin who are unable to swim, Blue Pikmin have a gill on their mouth, allowing them to breathe underwater. Unfortunately, Blue Pikmin ended up becoming pretty useless in Pikmin 3 thanks to, Winged Pikmin, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Only really being used for situational circumstances, and they were found weirdly late in the game for some reason, which did not help. Luckily, Pikmin 4 fixed this by first off allowing them to be found much earlier, and also making them less situational. Now, those are the three official types, but Pikmin 1 also had this interesting transformation state. This is the Mushroom Pikmin, which is what happens when a Pikmin is exposed to the spores of a creature called the Puffstool. When this happens, they get a mushroom on their head instead of a leaf, and they do the Puffstool's bidding instead of yours. Sadly, though, Mushroom Pikmin only appeared in the first game, as even though the Puffstool returned in Pikmin 4, it merely hypnotizes Pikmin instead of transforming them. Now let's move on to Pikmin 2, guys. The first new Pikmin 2 guy we're introduced to is the purple Pikmin, Pikminidae yokozunam. Notably, they didn't have an onion in this game, and were instead only available by transforming other colors into them by using their candy pop mine. Purple Pikmin don't have any immunities, but they make up for this by being super strong. One purple Pikmin has the strength of 10 non-purples, and they're the best in combat, and when thrown they create mini earthquakes that stun whatever was nearby. In Pikmin 4 they finally got an onion, though you have to go through some travels to get it. And yeah, not exactly easy. The other Pikmin 2 guys, the white Pikmin, like purples, they're only created by using their candy pop bud and don't have an onion. Though, like them, they got onion in Pikmin 4. These guys are the fastest Pikmin, and their eyes allow them to see through things. But most importantly, not only are they immune to poison, but they themselves are highly toxic, as anything that eats them, unless they're also immune to poison, will either take massive damage or instantly die upon consuming them. Also, according to one of the shorts, they can spit acid, but they've never demonstrated that in game, so I guess it was just there for the cartoon. Pikmin 2 also introduced this strange creature called the Bulbmin, Parasiticus pikminicus. These guys are a parasitic species of Pikmin, as you can probably get by their name, and basically, they've taken over the bodies of their natural enemy, the Bulborb, giving them Pikmin-like attributes. These guys are immune to all hazards, but sadly they cannot leave the caves where you find them, so they're only temporary members of your team. Nearly 10 years later, we got Pikmin 3, and the first Pikmin introduced in this game is the Rock Pikmin, Pikminidae habasaxum. These Pikmin are the result of the seeds inhabiting a rock and using it to form a body. These Pikmin are interesting because they don't actually latch onto things to attack, but instead, they do one big burst of damage to whatever they're thrown at, and then they keep ramming into them. Also, since they're made of rocks, they cannot be crushed. The other Pikmin 3 type is the winged Pikmin, Pikminidae volorosa. These Pikmin have wings and can therefore fly. But one trade-off of this is that they have no immunities and they're the physically weakest Pikmin, doing the least amount of damage to whatever they hit. However, they can also lift things up when they carry them, allowing them to take shortcuts otherwise blocked by ledges or things like that. Then 10 years later we got Pikmin 4, which once again introduced two new Pikmin. First, Ice Pikmin, Pikmin habaglacius. Like how rock Pikmin inhabit rocks, these guys' seeds inhabit blocks of ice, creating very cold bodies that can't melt thanks to how their bodies work. In addition, whatever they attack will eventually freeze after a while, and if they're eaten, they increase the frozen meter a lot. They can also freeze water if there's enough of them. And the last Pikmin introduced is the Glow Pikmin, Pikminidae supravelum. These guys are anomalous. For one, they only come out at night when every other Pikmin flees to the skies during that time. Secondly, they're not made by onions, but rather structures called luminals. Finally, they're probably not even alive, as it's theorized they're ghosts, which would explain their appearance and how they're immune to everything, and the fact that they can form balls of plasma. In fact, they're so anomalous that it can be believed that they're not even Pikmin, but rather Pikmin-like creatures or ghosts or whatever. Well, I guess that's all for this episode of Monsters of the Mind. Now, if you excuse me, I just got a text message saying that Talking Head Who Knows All Mr. G thinks he might have found a solution to our problem. So I'll see you guys some other time. Or not, because this isn't my home dimension and whatever. Goodbye.